Bulabinaka. After another 1,736 COVID tests today, we have confirmed 2 new cases of COVID-19. They are both doctors working in Lotoko Hospital. The first is a 25-year-old female doctor, presented at a screening clinic today with COVID-like symptoms. A few hours ago, she was tested positive for the virus. The second is a 30-year-old male doctor who was tested as part of the contact tracing for the first doctor. Both doctors have been entered into isolation, and their close household contacts have been quarantined. We are early in our investigation, but at this stage they do not appear to be connected to any of our existing cases or events of interest such as the Tavakumbo funeral. Also, while they did work in the hospital, they did not work in the isolation ward where they would have had interaction with COVID positive patients. So while we are very early in this investigation, we must treat these cases as instances of community transmission until it is proven otherwise. All contacts within the hospital will be screened, tested and isolated as appropriate. As you can imagine, this is a massive and complex undertaking for the Lotoko Hospital team, and we are providing the support that they need. That includes sending in medical teams from other medical facilities to replace the staff who have been identified as close contacts of these cases and stood down to be isolated. We have one advantage. Both doctors installed the Care Fiji app and had it running. So while our contact tracing teams are conducting their work on the ground, a digital net is being cast far and wide for Fijians who may have had contact with these two doctors. Care Fiji has identified one contact already, and Lautoka is safer for it. While these two doctors responsibly had the app running, we know the effectiveness of the app contact tracing function depends on how many other people also had it running on their phones. So if you do not yet have the app installed, do it right now and make sure it's running every time you leave the house. It will not use data. It will not chew your battery. It will save lives. We also know that as frontline healthcare workers, they both received the first dose of COVID-19 AstraZeneca vaccine. However, as we have explained before, you need two doses of this vaccine given 10 to 12 weeks apart to be considered fully vaccinated and develop the protective immune response conferred by the vaccine. So medically, neither doctor was considered vaccinated, not yet. For either of them to be protected, they must be fully vaccinated. For Fiji to be protected, we must fully vaccinate our eligible population. After further investigation, we have narrowed down the number of work contacts for case 113, the government factory employees, from 877 down to 771. We have tested all of these contacts plus some secondary contacts, with all 791 now tested negative. We continue to investigate whether there are other contacts that need to be screened and tested. While we do not have any positive result yet from the contacts of the two government factories, that could change at any point throughout the 14-day incubation period for the virus. That is why these contacts are all under the home quarantine order that will last 2 weeks from their last contact with case 113. Because we've acted quickly to contain these staff, if any do develop the virus, it will be securely detected while they were in quarantine. There is one reason above all as to how we successfully located all these Fijians. It was because more than 300,000 people living in the Suva area did the jobs this weekend by staying home. I've spoken to the police. They made only a handful of arrests. Otherwise, the streets were clear. Because of the level of cooperation, my teams were able to do their duty well and quickly, and the lockdown measures came to an end on schedule at 0400 hours today. Suva and Nosori are now two separate containment areas. Within both, restricted movement for essential purposes will be allowed. Up until midnight, Last night, food packs were being delivered to Fijians with a genuine need for assistance. I want to make it clear here. We ran this program for those in the lockdown areas because they could not access supermarkets or shops. With supermarkets and shops opening from the early hours of this morning, our food pack assistance is no longer in place. The exact details of the deliveries that were made, as well as the plans for any future distribution, will be provided by the Ministry of Economy tomorrow. Now that the markets are open, we need shop owners and customers to avoid turning them into dangerous hotspots for further transmission. Please ensure that physical distancing is practiced, everyone is wearing a mask, and that everyone has the Care Fiji app installed and turned on. And please remember, any movement of any nature can put you at risk. So please only move when you need to move. Return home as soon as possible after you've finished your essential business. One of our screening zones was on the island of Moturiki. 3 individuals on that island from Naidemedeme village had attended the Tavakumbu funeral and spent time with case 74, the staff from the quarantine facility. After a full 14 days quarantine since their exposure, they have all returned 4 consecutive negative tests for COVID-19. So the lockdown of the island is lifted. However, as is the case with all our rural and maritime communities, we encourage families on Moturiki to stay where you are, stay at home, limit your movement as far as possible. Our contact tracing is progressing well otherwise, with only one exception. We have one team from the Malo Malo Sevens held in April 16th and 17th at Lawangapa, Singatoka, that we have not fully accounted for. This team, called the Lionheart team, they shared a hostel and they played with our case number 98. So it is vital that we locate all the players and any other persons who closely interacted or traveled with this team. If you play for this team or know anyone who plays for this team, please call 158 right away. There are currently 6 large containment areas throughout the country: Suva, Losori, Lami, Rakiraki, Nandi, and Lautoka. The borders of each are highly restricted and movement within that areas should be limited. We are not considering rolling back the measures for any of these zones until we have a clearer idea of the risk posed to the public. That will require more tests, more screening, and quite simply, more time. The virus may be laying in wait within any of these containment areas. Time is the only strategy that will expose these cases. If we give in to the urge to relax restrictions too early, we may lose our chance to contain the virus for good. That has happened in other countries. It cannot happen in Fiji. I saw yesterday, Australia suspended the return of its residents and citizens from India. I want to be clear to everyone. Fiji suspended all international passenger flights from all countries on the 22nd of April, 9 days ago. We are not labeling countries as high risk or low risk. We just simply not taking any passengers from any countries at all. The only exception are the Fijians who are traveling with who have been traveling for medical procedures, and those with special approval granted by the ministry. Our quarantine capacity has been directly and entirely dedicated toward the context of local cases in Fiji. Before we even consider reopening international passenger travel to Fiji, we need a firmer grasp on this particular outbreak. And given this outbreak's index case was at the border, we will be revamping our quarantine facilities with additional CCTV cameras and strengthening our protocols to protect against human error to an even more stringent degree than before. As for the rest of our COVID containment infrastructure, our isolation facilities are currently operating at 12% occupancy. It's our commitment that these facilities are well prepared, well supplied with food and proper bedding, well before they admit new cases. We did have some hiccups with regards to early logistics. Those have been worked out. These centers were equipped for comfort and for the care of patients to recover from COVID-19. For those living with the virus, there is no safer place to be. As we shift into the next phase of containment, we are prioritizing non-school isolation facilities so that once it's safe, we are ready to resume classes. Our students are currently learning from home, which has to suffice for now. But there is proven benefit in in-person learning, and every day we delay our students' return to classes risks long-term harm to our human capital. In consultation with the Ministry of Education, we are considering the reopening of schools on the 24th of May 2021. But that judgment depends entirely on the COVID-19 situation at that time. Still, I want parents and students watching to know that getting your children back into the classrooms is an urgent priority for the Ministry of Health. Until such times, parents must keep their children at home. Do not bring them shopping. Do not send them out with friends. Please keep them at home. We contained last year's outbreak of COVID-19 in 30 days. It's been 15 days since the confirmation of the case that sparked the outbreak that we face today. And I'm worried that too many of us think this containment effort will play out in a relatively similar timeline. I very much doubt that it will. It could end soon, and I do hope so, but the data is telling us a different story. We're not up against an identical enemy this time around. The chains of transmission are more widespread, and the variant is more transmissible. The risks are greater, and our response must be more decisive. My team are ready for the containment strategy that lasts months at a minimum. Every Fijian must be ready as well. Good habits such as mask wearing, covering coughs and sneezes, staying home when sick, proper hand washing, physical distancing, keep Fiji Care Fiji app on, limiting movement are not temporary or emergency measures. They will be with us for the foreseeable future. Learn them well, practice them all. The rest of the world has embraced a new way of doing things, a new and safer way of living. So must Fiji. And we should use this time to COVID-proof our lives, our places of work, our public spaces as much as possible. That will save lives today, and it will keep us safe through whatever comes our way. I felt the media handled yesterday's zero-case announcements responsibly for their reporting, and I ask the same of you today. The war against the virus is far from won. We have to test many, many more Fijians in order to get a grip on the spread and to stop it. Our case numbers may seem low next to the hundreds and thousands being recorded around the world every day. But they won't stay low if we don't act responsibly. We must deal soberly with the scale of threat that we face and report honestly on the measures that we know can work, including the use of the Care Fiji contact tracing application and the widespread administration of COVID-19 vaccine. Science has served us well before. If we show our respect for science through the actions and the decisions that we all make every day, it will serve us well again. Keep the faith, Fiji. We will succeed. Thank you.
So as just announced by the Permanent Secretary, we have 2 new cases to report. And with these latest cases, we now have 51 active cases in isolation. 16 are border quarantine cases, 31 are locally transmitted cases, and now 4 are under investigation to determine the source of transmission. So now Fiji has had 121 cases in total, with 68 recoveries and 2 deaths since our first case was recorded on March the 19th of 2020. A total of 54,988 COVID-19 tests have been conducted since we started testing early last year, and our daily average is at 970 tests per day over the last 7 days, and our weekly average is now at 5,995 tests per week over the last 2 weeks, with a record 6,821 tests conducted last week. Testing, as you know, has increased in line with our response to the recent outbreak. And again, a record 1,736 tests were conducted yesterday alone. Please note that testing numbers from the labs at CWM and Lautoka hospitals have not yet been received, so this number is actually a bit higher. Our overall test positivity is 0.2%. And our 7-day average daily test positivity is now at 0.4%. When I'm talking about these testing numbers, they sound like really high numbers, and they are. Just to give you an idea about how high, 2 weeks ago when this outbreak started, we estimated that our surge capacity for testing was at about 600 tests per day. That was already double our average daily testing, which is around 250 to 300 tests per day. So now we are testing at a level of over 1,700 tests per day, and this is thanks to the testing that is going on at Fiji CDC, but also at the divisional labs in Lautoka, CWM Hospital, Lambasa, and also the Tamavua Tumi lab. Thank you.
Bulavinaka, and thank you, PS and Dr. Alisha. Just reiterating some important messages that we've heard in the last few days from the PS that needs a reminder and needs us to continue to remember. Firstly, our mass targeted screening is continuing in the restricted zone in the restricted zones in the Central and the Western Division. Coverage ranges from 70% to 100% of the communities. We acknowledge the support of the communities who have come forth and helped our team, given the challenging weather conditions we've faced in the last few days. We have people coming with food items, water, raincoats, and umbrellas to help our team, and these are really greatly appreciated by our contact tracers in the front line. We have 55 active stationary screening clinics currently around the country, and these clinics continue to date, where the location of the clinics are advertised in our Facebook pages and it comes out in the daily newspaper. Today, in the last 24 hours, we screened 410 individuals and swabbed 100 individuals, and our cumulative total is around 27,800 who have gone through the stationary clinic. These are very useful clinics for us. If you remember, our last few cases were diagnosed in this clinic, so we are encouraging people to present to the clinic. If you have symptoms or you're worried about the sickness that you have, remember that even in the restricted movement areas, you can still access this clinic. You just front up and let the police or whoever is guiding the border to say that you are sick and you need to present yourself at the clinic. Otherwise, you can pick up your phone and call 158. In addition, our mobile community-wide screening continues, and this is just sweeping through the whole communities of Lautoka and Nandi and Ra and the other targeted communities. In the last 24 hours, we covered 2,240 individuals and swabbed 334 individuals, and the cumulative total of people who have been covered through this clinic is in the range of 218,400 people who have been screened. So this program continues, and we hope to cover as much of the population in our target area as possible. Reiterating the message again by the PS, we are particularly concerned with this the Lionheart rugby team. We've been told that there's 12 members of the team. We've identified 5, 7 outstanding, and we're trying to contact these 7 individuals. So if you are listening to this broadcast today, or if families of these 7 individuals are listening, please let them know they have nothing to worry about. They should contact the Ministry of Health or pick up a phone and call 158, and we'll attend to them and make sure they are properly treated. And what they would do, what they will do is will support and be good not only for them, but for the families and for the nation as a whole. In the next few days, ladies and gentlemen and members of the public, we are facing the double threat of the COVID-19 and the rain. And even as we are speaking now, there's a heavy downpour going on outside. The heavy rain gives us another reason to stay at home, but the heavy rain also causes flooding. And from our history, we know that flooded rivers and flooded drains are killers in Fiji. So please advise our young people who like to go out and play in the rain to avoid flooded rivers and flooded drains, which can cause catastrophe for themselves and their families. Flooded parks and flooded surroundings of our houses can be contaminated with human and animal wastes. So we're asking older peoples in the community, advise the young ones not to go out and play during this time, because water contaminated with wastes can lead to diseases that can kill, such as leptospirosis and diarrheal diseases. So if you're in an area that's flooded, make sure you protect your family members. Check your water source. If your water source is murky, the water coming into the house for use is murky, or you are just not sure, just boil the water. That's the safest way to address unsafe water source. Boil the water for home consumption and make sure that all waters that are stored for home use are well covered. Just to conclude, we are in regular contact with our colleague at Lautoka Hospital, given the crisis at hand. After this, we'll go back and have another meeting with them virtually, and we'll continue to meet throughout the night if we have to, just to make sure we set in place a plan to ensure that we're able to contain the infection within the hospital that's been identified amongst our staffs, and still be able to deliver the service in a safe way to members of the public. Thank you very much.
So we'll have Dr. Dinem and Dr. Fijian Permanent Secretary, who is now in the questions to members of the media. Please can you also speak up and then just remove your mask when asking the question.
Dr. Fong, Navil from Legend FM in Fiji Village. With the positive cases in Lautoka, with the doctors testing positive, what does it mean for the services in Lautoka and the patients in the hospital currently? Thank you.
Yes, as we mentioned straight after this, we are having a Zoom meeting with the team in Lautoka. We do know that we have already deployed a team from CWM. They are right now in Reki Tanwa, and they're supposed to go into Baha Hospital. So it won't be difficult for us to deploy them into Lotoka to help out. We also know that there is some people who are supposed to be working in Lotoka that are not, they're not working there because they're outside the containment zone. So we will have to mobilize them into Lotoka. So we do have sufficient leeway to ensure that the services in Lotoka do continue. However, as we said, we will need to have to go through some of our further discussions to ensure that we work out how the infection got there and what can we do to mitigate any further risk.
Dr. Fong, Pinisa from FBC. Just a question on, there were some people who were initially in quarantine in Nandi. We can confirm this evening that some of them have been taken back into quarantine. Can you confirm this, and was there a gap? Because one of them is an employee of FBC.
What I can, I think you're referring to our shout out for people who were discharged from Tanwa for us to retest them. That was 97 of them that we had to, and we got 95, and he's part of that group. We quite assured that the fact that they have, except for one, all have tested negative. So it was part of the investigation into that initial breach that that started this problem. Yes.
Dr. Fong, sir, Litya Rava from the Fiji Times. So my question is on regarding the food ration distribution, considering the responses and comments that the ministry has received over the weekend. My question is on why the ministry took up that role, and my second one would be if there's going to be another similar lockdown, will the ministry consider working together with NGOs, in particular, those who actually work with these families who are in need of this assistance?
Yes, must admit we didn't have enough time to prepare for the lockdown.
So, but
I get what you mean. We didn't have much time to prepare. Otherwise, we would have recruited a broader group of people, of NGOs, to work with us. That's the thing. The fact that we were able to get close to 8,000 food packs ready for this particular lockdown has been something that was done, quite rapidly. We had to deploy it rapidly at the time that we called the lockdown. Then we started bringing all these rations across from Lotoka to here. I mentioned that it was Punjas had actually helped us to put these packages together. Once it hit here, then the deployment was actually done through the Ministry of Economy. We actually took some packs from us to be delivered here because there were some people who were calling us acutely. But otherwise, most of the deployment went through the 161 number, and the Ministry of Economy together with the military were working with getting a deployment. So actually, the Ministry of Health didn't actually take it on. It was, we assisted also in a program that was run through the Ministry of Economy. And as I said, I think what it does raise is a lesson that we'll have to work with, is that we need to start pre-positioning our supplies for potential lockdowns in the future. And I think we do have some reserves of rations that, not I think, I'm sure, that we have reserves of rations around, that we are now in discussions with various other ministries for us to use a broader range of ministries and CSOs to help us respond to a lockdown. It does mean that they have to be activated acutely, and it's that acute activation that can sometimes be quite difficult in terms of moving logistics into the area of containment. Once you put a lockdown, then nothing can go in. So we will have to have another discussion with the group, with the broad government group, as to how we can keep ourselves better prepared to cater for future lockdowns should there be a need for lockdown.
So my second question is the arrangement the government had with Punjis. Was it items bought by government, or was it part of the assistance? Was it given?
It was an assistance. It was an assistance.
So with the lockdown lifted this morning, we noticed that outside and within some supermarkets, no social distancing happening, being followed. What is your message to these businesses that are not enforcing these social distancing and 50% capacity guidelines, as it was earlier stated that those that do not follow these guidelines will be shut down?
Yes, I must admit that there was quite a lot of work that we ended up having to do again after we lifted the lockdown. This morning we had a lot of discussion with the police, and they will move more proactively in facilitating crowd control in various places. It was rather disappointing to note the lack of compliance to some of our measures with some of the shop owners, not everybody. I mean, I went to some places where I took photo and I could see that they had complied very well. They made sure that everybody was socially distanced, not in the appropriate manner. And I think there are just a few places that they did not preempt. Maybe they just did not preempt the fact that once you raise the lockdown, people were going to move very fast. Yes.
Now, Dr. Fong, understanding the fact that the two new recent cases are medical workers, would the ministry maybe consider I understand that you've already mentioned that you will be in a Zoom session straight after this. Will the ministry consider maybe calling in those that had come into the Lautoka hospital maybe to attend these screening clinics just for causes of safety?
So what you're saying is that would we consider calling everybody who came for screening?
No, those that were actually in the hospital, that came into the hospital, since they are medical workers.
Oh, okay. Yeah. In actual fact, because they are medical workers, we are very well informed about their movement. So we know precisely where they have been. They had their Care Fiji app on. And apart from that, they do understand the kind of information that we need. So in this instance, we can be fairly precise in our reaction. We do know that there's a unit, a group of, they work within one group. That group will have to be removed, and I have to bring in another group, either from Nandi, Ba, or the group that's in Suva that will work with that group. On the idea that they will, the nature of the work that these two particular doctors did had nothing to do with the outpatient department, if that's where you are going. They didn't do any outpatient work. They were mostly within the inside. Eh? So I think we are fairly comfortable, given the kind of history that they had, the nature of the work that they had, that in this instance, we can be fairly measured in the way that we do our containment program. Thank you.
Dr. Fong, just a follow-up question. Your statement yesterday regarding that a couple from India, they've been tested again and it has returned negative. Are they still in quarantine or have they gone home?
They should be home by now.
So they've recovered?
Yes, yeah, they should be home by now, because they would have finished their full 10 days. Oh, sorry. I'll get Alisa to, she probably has more.
Sorry, so just the recoveries that were announced, there were 3 recoveries announced, I think it was 2 days ago now. Those are the only recoveries we've had, right? So in this entire time that we've been announcing cases, we announced the recoveries as well. So those are 3 recoveries that have been announced a few days ago. The particular cases you're talking about have not been discharged yet.
Sorry, Dr. Elisha, the 3 recoveries, would you be able to outline who are these 3 patients are?
I think I've given you enough information, because once we start identifying patients, as Dr. Fong mentioned before, Fiji is a small country. The last thing we want is communities to be ready waiting for them and to victimize them any further. Again, we've said so many times, we're not fighting people, we're fighting the virus. So I'd urge all of you, these people have been through an ordeal. They've been taken away from their families. They've been put in isolation. They have suffered. So please, I urge you to have some compassion. If they have been cleared to go home, they've been cleared medically based on our scientific knowledge, which we've been using throughout this pandemic. So please just have a bit of compassion for these people when they are released back home. Thank you.
We're open to 2 more questions.
So when do you expect to get the results from the Melbourne lab to determine if the raw cases have genetic links to other recent cases?
So we do expect results hopefully this week. We know that they are urgently processing our samples, just as they have done with previous samples during this particular outbreak. So when we do have some information, we will share it with you.
Dr. Alicia, Dr. Fong, just for the benefit of people outside the containment areas, businesses and people within those areas like Mba, we understand the Gazette says that businesses, essential business can open within those businesses within the containment areas, only essential businesses. But for those outside the containment areas, can they still operate? And my second part to my question is the 2 garment factories, which is Lyndhurst and the other factory. Is there an investigation that will be carried out? Will there be an investigation as to why were they still operating, given that that they are non-essential? Or maybe we can get, were they still operating when other businesses were told that only essential business should be operating during that period?
Good. As regards to the areas in the non-containment zones, yes, I must admit I was entertaining the idea of not allowing any other business except essential business. I entertained that idea this morning. What we have worked when we had the meeting at 10 o'clock, the contact tracing response seemed so refined that I was able to then more definitively by afternoon tell everybody who contacted me, yes, they can continue. The advice we also gave to our ministers was the same. After we had another look at our containment program and the screening program, we became more confident. No, I think we should just let them continue. So I can understand that there was a little bit of confusion out in the public this morning. Partly it was my confusion, not my confusion. It was my hesitancy to just let everything go, and but we were quite happy with the containment response. Now, with regards to the idea that the 2 factories were considered as non-essential business, now I'll have to get back to that, because within your group of essential business listing, there is one portion there that says manufacturing companies. Okay, so that is already listed in our Gazette notice. And so it was based on that I have, or none of us have actually considered the possibility that they are non-essential. But I mean, it's good that we go back and have another look at that, see whether that actually complies with our. But that's my understanding so far. They're part of the manufacturing base.
Thank you very much, Dr. Fong. Congratulations.